Every car has 15 to 20 gallons of gas in it. You have a couple of 5-gallon cans on the roof of your SUV, and every time you pass a vehicle that looks like it might have some gas in it, you stop and drain the tank. You don't even need a siphon hose, because you just get a screwdriver and a hammer and punch a hole in the bottom of the gas tank and stick my bucket under it and gather that fuel and move on to the next one. I don't care about destroying the tank.
They took all the bags.
Even my backpack?
They took everything. They punched a hole in the gas tank.
If it's hot and if it's summer and you have to go through the desert, you better hope you can get across it in a couple of days, because there's not a lot of water out there.
The current breadbaskets of the United States, the Great Plains, the Midwest, and the Central Valleys of California, would no longer be as productive as they are now, since they depend to a large extent on fossil fuels and mechanized agriculture.
The big farms won't work, because you need the mechanization, you need the energy, you need the petroleum to make the fertilizers. All that stuff isn't there anymore.
I can't say for certain how long we walked. We followed the road north, but truth is we were lost. Pretty soon, the only thing that mattered was finding a way to stay alive.
Most of what is around LA is a desert. Key thing you're going to be looking for on the road is water you can drink.
3 months into a scenario like this, all the low-lying fruit's been picked. You're going to have to be very creative to come up with food. You're going to have to know where to look and what kind of resources are there.
Look, there's a barn over there. Come on, let's go.
You're going to have to forage, which is a nice word for looting.
Hello!
Survivors would be in a very desperate situation, and probably most of them would starve to death within a few weeks.
Wait here.
You're going to have to do things I would imagine that would be very unpleasant. You're going to have to go into houses where people have died. And you're going to have to see what's left, what's available to you.
Come on up. Why don't you guys go sit in that shade right there?
The longer the scenario stretches out, the more food becomes unavailable to you. It spoils, it goes bad.
There's nothing in there but these crackers.
Dad, I'm thirsty.
You don't want to eat unless you have water. It takes water to digest your food. So if you don't have water available, then you should not be eating. You can go about 30 days without food, only about 3 without water.
I want to see what's in that barn. Maybe there's some water or something.
You need about 6 to 8 quarts of water a day for a person to live, but the willpower is more necessary. If someone doesn't have the will to survive, the will to make it, they're not going to.
You'll be gathering water as well as scavenging for water. You're going to take advantage of every opportunity. The hot water tanks from a hotel, the swimming pools, any place that stores water.
I found water. You guys go get in the barn. There's more shade in there.
You're going to have to look at water that normally you would look at and make an awful face and run from. But you've got to be able to disinfect it.
We can't drink this, though.
Well, you have three choices. You can treat it with chemicals, such as iodine or bleach, which will render it biologically safe. You can filter it with a water filtration system, which generally renders it biologically safe. And you can boil it, which will render it biologically safe. So you're going to need to make fire.
They have any batteries and some steel wool. You just connect the front and the back and it sends an electric current through it and it heats it up so it's red hot. Put tinder on it and light it up.
Casey, hold this.
Assuming that a person can stay hydrated, the process of starvation may take as long as 50 to 60 days before one expires. After about 3 days, you will not, in fact, have hunger. The body is now beginning to break down fat and muscle tissue in about the same ratio. You become more lethargic, you become more disorientated, you have highs of euphoria, and then you simply do not want to eat.
One of the first things to suffer is your eyesight. That's an indication that you're actually in a really bad starvation mode.
People are not aware of the small world around them, which could in fact be utilized as food.
There's plenty of insects, ants, beetles, which have 7 times the protein content pound for pound as ground beef. We just don't realize they're there.
One of the cross-culturally constant things we see in the historical literature is that early on in a famine, there's a great deal of outpouring of energy into religious and ritual activity. The term unusual wanderings has been repeated a number of times in accounts of what goes on in famished populations. What you get is basically vast human movement over the landscape in search of some kind of relief.
We can spread that out. We might be able to lay on that.
We're gonna lay on wood?
Like a bed. Like a cot.
Why don't we just sleep on the ground?
If you're sleeping out there, you don't want to lay right on the ground. The ground is about 55 degrees. I want to be 98.6.
Casey, watch out for this. There could be snakes or anything.
But how are we gonna sleep on that?
We're gonna break the pieces up. We're gonna lay on them. We're gonna be like insulation.
Insulate yourself from the ground and create a warm pocket of air around you to keep you warm at night. It's not clothing that keeps you warm or cold. It's the dead air space.
Oh, shoot. The battery is almost dead.
The process of starvation goes slow at first, ever increasing in speed until, if it's out of control at the end, even by refeeding, you will not in fact survive.
There's a house over there. Come on. You can make this. Come on.
The cognitive functions of a person being able to think clearly become impaired. One may make poor judgments, and it may adversely affect one's survival.
I'm gonna have a look around.
Under extreme duress, sometimes people have looked towards pets as a potential source